Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was on Capitol Hill today facing questions from the Senate Finance Committee in his quest to become the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. He is one of several cabinet nominations made by President Trump that have senators asking whether or not he's right for the job.
Now, we have team coverage for you on today's hearing, including what the public thinks about RFK Jr.'s viewpoints on certain health issues. But first, let's start with NBC Boston's political reporter, Matt Pritchard. Matt, you watched all of today's hearing. What stood out to you?
Yeah, Colton, JC, RFK is a polarizing pick, and it really did show today. Democrats seeking to criticize and disqualify, while Republicans argue that Kennedy will shake up the nation's healthcare approach.
Mr. Kennedy, do you have the support?
Questions shouted in Capitol halls.
We believe in science. I'm thankful that you do too.
Frankly, you frighten people.
Giving way to back and forth between senators and Donald Trump's pick to lead Health and Human Services.
We can put aside our divisions for the sake of a healthier America.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. defending his record, including views on reproductive rights, past comments on AIDS research, and a track record of vaccine skepticism.
I believe that that vaccines play a critical role in healthcare.
Peddling in half-truths. Peddling in false statements.
When did you decide to sell out your life's work and values to get this position?
Senator, I agree with President Trump that every abortion is a tragedy.
A Massachusetts Senator, Elizabeth Warren, concerned that Kennedy, a lawyer himself, could benefit financially from current or future vaccine lawsuits.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
you're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Look, no one should be fooled.
Now, there is agreement on combating ultra-processed food and chronic disease.
We will scrutinize the chemical additives in our food supply.
More questions to come Thursday, including from Senator Ed Markey.
At least on the Democratic side, there are substantial questions that have been raised in the minds of almost every senator.
Now, it's worth noting Kennedy struggled at times to verbalize changes he would make to Medicaid and Medicare programs. Expect that to come up when Markey and others question him tomorrow on Capitol Hill. In studio, Matt Pritchard, NBC 10 Boston.
Matt, thank you. RFK Jr.'s views on everything from vaccines to fluoride to processed foods have long been controversial within the medical community. But we want to know what the American public think of his opinions. NBC 10's Priscilla Casper joining us with the results of a new poll that looks at where Americans stand.
Yeah, JC, this was really interesting here. Amongst RFK Jr.'s controversial views, the one he's most closely associated with is his vaccine skepticism. But reevaluating vaccine recommendations would be unpopular with many Americans. Now, that is according to a new Associated Press poll. Get this, about 4 in 10 Americans either strongly or somewhat oppose reconsidering the government's recommendations about widely used vaccines like the flu vaccine. About 3 in 10 are in favor. RFK Jr. also wants the federal government to advise local governments against putting fluoride in the drinking water. But about 4 in 10 Americans oppose removing fluoride from the water supply. Only about a quarter are in favor. The CDC has said small amounts of added fluoride can prevent cavities and tooth decay. Here's the thing. One idea RFK Jr. has proposed is popular, getting some chemicals out of processed foods. 66% of Americans either somewhat or strongly favor restricting or reformulating processed foods to remove ingredients like added sugar or dyes. Just 12% oppose it. That last issue received broad support amongst both Democrats and Republicans. JC, back to you.